Have you ever felt this? Someone smiles at you, but behind that smile, you can feel something is off. Not because they said something wrong, not because they openly disrespected you, but because your instinct picked up something your mind couldn't yet explain. A slight pause before they replied. A compliment that felt strangely empty. A question that sounded innocent but carried weight behind it. A silent competition. A hidden agenda. A quiet attempt to manipulate you, control you, or slowly push you into a weaker position without ever touching you directly. It doesn't look like conflict. It looks like friendliness. It looks like cooperation. It looks like normal conversation. And that's exactly why it works. Because real psychological games are not played loudly. They are played softly, patiently, and over time, you begin to notice small things. You start doubting your own reactions. You start explaining yourself more than you used to. You start adjusting your words, your tone, even your behavior, just to keep the atmosphere smooth. And slowly, very slowly, you move one step back, then another, not because you were forced, but because you were guided. A silent competition, a hidden power struggle, a subtle shift in who leads and who follows. And the painful part? You only realize it after the damage is done. You realize it when you replay conversations in your head late at night, when you suddenly understand why you felt drained after talking to that person, when you notice that your confidence around them feels smaller than it used to be. You realize it when you finally see the pattern. They never attacked you. They positioned you. They never insulted you. They slowly lowered your psychological ground. They never openly controlled you. They influenced your choices until your choices stopped feeling fully yours. That is how real manipulation works. Not through aggression, through comfort, through emotional access, through trust, through timing. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Today's video is not about becoming cruel. It is not about becoming heartless. It is not about turning into a cold, calculating person who uses others. It is about becoming untouchable. Mentally, emotionally, psychologically. Because in a world where not everyone plays clean, innocence without awareness becomes vulnerability, and awareness without strategy becomes frustration. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and watch it until the very end. Because one of the mental strategies you're about to learn can completely change how people treat you forever. Not in theory, in real conversations, in real workplaces, in real relationships, in real power dynamics you deal with every single day. This is not fantasy. This is not motivational talk. This is power psychology. This is how you outsmart people mentally. When they play dirty. When they use emotional pressure instead of logic. When they use timing instead of force. When they use silence instead of confrontation. When they hide intentions behind politeness and charm. And yes, Machiavelli understood this better than almost anyone. Not because he believed people were evil, but because he understood one uncomfortable truth. Human nature does not change when the environment becomes polite. It only becomes better at hiding its games. And if you don't learn how those games are played, you will keep wondering why you keep losing ground in situations where you were never openly attacked. Why good people are often destroyed. Let me start with something uncomfortable. The world does not reward innocence. It rewards awareness. Many people believe, if I stay honest, fair, and kind, I will be protected. But Machiavelli would quietly smile at that belief. Not because kindness is wrong, but because kindness without intelligence is a liability. You don't get betrayed because you are weak. You get betrayed because you assume others are as clean as you are. And today you will stop doing that. Here are 10 Machiavellian psychology tricks. Not to dominate people, but to make sure nobody can dominate you. Trick 1. Never show where it hurts. The first mental mistake most people make is emotional transparency. They believe being open will protect them. They believe honesty will soften people. They believe vulnerability automatically creates safety. But in a world where some people play dirty, emotional transparency becomes intelligence for the wrong person. When someone knows exactly what upsets you, what makes you insecure, what you secretly fear, what you are afraid of losing, they don't just understand you. They hold leverage over you. Machiavelli understood a dangerous but realistic truth. Information is power, and emotional information is the most valuable kind. Think about it carefully. A manipulative person doesn't need to threaten you. They don't need to shout. They don't need to dominate you openly. All they need is one accurate emotional pressure point. one insecurity, one attachment, one fear, and suddenly, your reactions become predictable. Most people reveal their emotional wounds without even realizing it. They do it by over-explaining themselves when no explanation is required, justifying their decisions too quickly, defending their character when nobody directly attacked it, venting deeply to people who have not earned that access, reacting instantly when something touches their ego. Every unnecessary explanation is data. Every emotional defense is a signal. Every rushed reaction is a map. If someone plays dirty, they will use your emotions to steer you, not by attacking them, but by gently touching them. A small comment, a subtle joke, a delayed reply, a public remark that looks harmless but lands exactly where you are sensitive. And if you react emotionally, they learn, they adjust, they refine their strategy. So the rule is simple. Your pain is private, not because you must suppress emotions, not because you must become cold, but because not everyone deserves access to your inner world. When someone provokes you, when they test you, when they push your buttons, when they make indirect remarks, when they try to destabilize you emotionally in front of others, do not correct them emotionally. Do not rush to defend yourself. Do not explain what hurt you. Do not reveal which part of you felt attacked. Do not show irritation. Do not show wounded pride. Silence and emotional stillness create psychological confusion. And confusion is powerful, because manipulative people rely on feedback. They need to know, did this work? Did this hurt? Did this move him? Did this shake her? When you stay emotionally neutral, they lose their measuring tool. They cannot refine their attack. They cannot locate your weak point. They cannot calculate your next emotional move. When someone cannot locate your weakness, they cannot attack it. This is not about pretending nothing affects you. This is about controlling what you reveal. There is a huge difference. Inside, you can feel everything, but on the outside, you decide what becomes visible. The strongest position in any mental battle is this: they don't know what touches me, not because you are empty, but because you are protected. Not coldness, not arrogance, control. And control is the first layer of real psychological power. Trick 2. Make people reveal themselves first. Most people walk into conversations trying to impress. They talk faster. They explain more. They try to sound intelligent. They try to control how they are seen. Machiavelli would never do that. He would observe. Because the person who speaks the most usually gives away the most. If someone plays dirty, they will always expose themselves. Not through one big mistake, but through patterns. Watch carefully how they speak about others. If they constantly describe people as incompetent, weak, stupid, dramatic, or useless, that is how they mentally rank human beings. And one day, when you are no longer useful to them, you will be ranked the same way. Watch how quickly they judge. Fast judgment is not intelligence. It is lack of emotional control. People who rush to judge others are usually protecting their own fragile position. They feel powerful when they evaluate people. They feel safe when they put someone below them. And watch how they talk when they believe nobody powerful is listening. That moment is the real window. Because when status pressure disappears, the mask becomes heavy. Your job is not to talk more. Your job is to let them talk. Ask open questions, not aggressive questions, not interrogations. Simple, neutral, curious questions. Why do you think that happened? What made you decide that? How did you feel about that situation? Then stop talking. Stay quiet. Stay relaxed. Stay emotionally neutral. People reveal their true intentions when they feel safe, not when they feel challenged, not when they feel watched. Safety disarms. Self-censorship. And here is the psychological secret most people never learn. When you speak less, you gain more data. When you listen more, you gain leverage. Because while they are explaining themselves, you are building a mental profile. You are learning how they justify behavior, how they excuse mistakes, how they treat power, how they treat weakness, how they position themselves inside every story. Dirty players cannot control what they unconsciously reveal. Their ego leaks through language. Their fear leaks through tone. Their ambition leaks through how they describe success. Their resentment leaks through how they describe other people's achievements. But you can control what you reveal. And that asymmetry is power. Trick 3. Never fight directly. Shift the frame. Weak players confront. Smart players reframe. When someone attacks you openly, challenges you, or tries to undermine you in front of others, your emotional instinct wants to jump forward and defend, to correct them, to explain yourself, to prove you are right. That is the trap, because emotional confrontation locks you into their narrative. It places you inside their story, and inside their story, they decide what matters. Machiavelli understood something very dangerous and very simple. Whoever controls the frame controls the outcome. The frame is not the argument. The frame is what the argument is about. And most people lose not because they are wrong, but because they accept the wrong frame. If someone says you are slow, careless, or unreliable, your instinct is to defend your speed, your effort, your discipline. But the moment you defend, you accept that the discussion is about your flaws. Instead, respond calmly and redefine what matters. You don't fight the accusation. You move attention to a higher metric, to priorities, to outcomes, to standards, to context. You don't argue inside their box. You change the box. Psychologically, this removes their power, because their attack only works if you emotionally participate in it. They want you to justify yourself. They want you to appear reactive. They want you to look pressured. They want you to fight on their battlefield. But when you shift the frame, they suddenly have to adjust. They lose momentum. They lose rhythm. They lose emotional control of the moment. And control of the moment is everything. The calm person who quietly decides what matters silently becomes the leader in the interaction. You don't win by being louder. You win by redefining reality in the room. That is Machiavellian intelligence, not confrontation. Positioning. Trick 4. Become predictable in small things, unreadable in big ones. Here is a brutal truth most people never notice. People do not trust what they cannot predict. They relax around patterns. They feel safe around routines. They lower their psychological guard around familiarity. So instead of trying to look powerful, you use predictability as camouflage. Be consistent in small, harmless, surface-level things. Your tone, your manners, your basic behavior, your daily rhythm, how you respond to ordinary situations. Let people experience you as stable, reliable, easy to read on the outside, because once people think they understand you, they stop observing you closely. They stop questioning your intentions. They stop scanning for danger. That is exactly what you want. Be predictable with small habits, basic politeness, routine behavior. How you show up in normal situations, but when it comes to what actually shapes your future, your plans, your long-term goals, your strategy, your next moves, your private decisions, your shifting priorities, your alliances, stay quiet. Machiavelli believed that mystery protects power, not mystery for attention, not mystery to look interesting, mystery as defense. Because the moment people clearly understand where you are going, they can prepare against you. They can block you. They can sabotage timing. They can influence others before you arrive. They can quietly reposition themselves ahead of you. When people know your next move, you give them time, and time is the most dangerous gift you can offer an opponent. But when people cannot read your intentions, they hesitate. They delay. They wait. They second guess. They don't know whether to support you, oppose you, or ignore you. And hesitation is advantage, because while they are uncertain, you are already moving. This is why openly broadcasting your goals, plans, and future moves is not confidence. It is exposure. It makes you emotionally visible and strategically naked. Let people think they know you. Let them believe they understand your personality. Let them feel familiar with your surface, but never let them know what you are preparing. Your real direction should always be slightly ahead of what people can see. That distance between what you show and what you build is where your protection lives. Not secrecy, strategic silence. And in psychological games, silence is rarely empty. It is positioning. Trick 5. Never correct someone who underestimates you. This one is extremely difficult for the ego, because being underestimated doesn't just touch your skills. It touches your identity. When someone talks down to you, when they assume you are less intelligent, less capable, less important, less experienced, your nervous system reacts before your mind does. You feel the urge to explain, to prove, to show evidence, to demonstrate value immediately, to correct their perception. Machiavelli would advise the opposite. Let them misjudge you, not because you accept disrespect, but because you understand positioning. Here is the uncomfortable psychological truth. The moment you try to correct someone's image of you, you reveal that their opinion matters to you. And when someone knows their evaluation affects you, they gain emotional leverage. But there is a deeper strategic reason. People behave carelessly around those they believe are harmless. They speak more freely. They plan more openly. They take shortcuts. They become sloppy. They assume you are not a factor. They stop managing their words around you. They stop filtering their intentions. They stop protecting information. They stop calculating how their behavior might be interpreted. They reveal their plans, their attitudes, their insecurities, their real power moves, their alliances, and sometimes even their mistakes. Underestimation lowers their guard. It removes psychological armor. And that is exactly what makes it useful. Your silence becomes strategy. Because while they are looking past you, you are watching them clearly. There is also a very important emotional advantage here. When you do not rush to defend your competence, you remain internally centered. You are not dragged into ego battles. You are not distracted by emotional validation. You keep your mental energy for execution, not for image repair. Correcting someone's false image of you is unnecessary. It does not improve your position. It only satisfies your pride. Machiavelli understood something most people learn too late. Reputation is not built by explanation. It is built by consequences. It is built by outcomes. It is built by timing, and results speak in a language that no argument can compete with. Let your work appear before your words. Let your influence appear before your announcements. Let your competence be discovered, not displayed. When the moment finally comes, when your impact becomes visible, the same people who misjudged you will quietly revise their beliefs, without you having to say a single sentence. That is real dominance, not loud correction, delayed confirmation. Trick 6. Control access to your attention. Dirty players do not always attack. Many manipulate through availability. They constantly message. They constantly request. They constantly demand emotional energy. Over time, you become mentally tired, reactive, weaker. Machiavelli understood one psychological rule. Access creates value. If people can reach you at any moment, your presence becomes ordinary. But when your attention is selective, people begin to treat your time as important. This is not arrogance. This is boundary power. You respond when it serves your priorities, not when someone pressures you emotionally. The moment you control your availability, you control your leverage. Trick 7. Never show your final position. In negotiation, relationships, business, and even friendships, your first answer should never be your final answer. People who play dirty probe. They push. They test. They exaggerate. They are trying to locate your bottom line. Machiavelli would never reveal it. Instead, he would pause, delay, ask clarifying questions, and let the other person expose their urgency. Urgency reveals weakness. If you show too quickly what you are willing to accept, you remove your own room to maneuver. Psychological patience is dominance. Trick 8. Use calm as a weapon. Nothing destabilizes a manipulative person more than emotional neutrality. They provoke because they need emotional feedback to adjust their strategy. If you explode, they learn your triggers. If you argue emotionally, they learn your fears. But when you stay calm, they lose their compass. Calm creates a symmetry. They are working emotionally. You are working strategically. This is pure Stoic alignment and Machiavellian execution. Stillness is not weakness. It is untraceable strength. Trick 9. Build invisible alliances. One of Machiavelli's most misunderstood ideas is this. Power does not come only from position. It comes from relationships, but smart alliances are quiet. You don't announce who supports you. You don't publicly display every connection. You build goodwill privately. You help people without advertising it. You earn silent loyalty. Then when someone tries to isolate you, they discover you were never alone. Influence is strongest when it is unseen. Trick 10. Always keep an exit strategy. This is the darkest and most protective rule. Never emotionally or practically depend on a single situation, person, or environment. Machiavelli knew, when people sense you have no alternatives, you become controllable. So you must always quietly prepare another option, another skill, another network, Another opportunity. Not because you plan to leave, but because knowing you can leave changes how you are treated. Freedom creates psychological authority. People respect those who cannot be trapped. The real reason people play dirty. Now let me tell you something important. Most people who manipulate, control, and use dirty tactics are not powerful. They are insecure. They fear being irrelevant. They fear losing influence. They fear being exposed. That is why they play games. You do not need to become cruel to survive them. You only need to become psychologically awake. How to use these without losing yourself. This is very important. Machiavelli's psychology is dangerous if used without discipline. These tools are not for hurting innocent people. They are for protecting your dignity in a world where not everyone plays fair. Your goal is not domination. Your goal is independence. Final mental shift. From today, remember this. You do not need to be louder. You do not need to be aggressive. You do not need to prove anything. You only need to become. Harder to read. Harder to manipulate. Harder to emotionally control. When people realize they cannot move you, they stop trying. That is real power. Before you leave, ask yourself this one question. Who in your life benefits when you stay emotionally exposed and mentally predictable? Think carefully, because the moment you start applying even 2 of these strategies, your entire social environment begins to change. And with that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.